That's the same one you emailed to us.
Yeah.
Looks good to me. I can't. You can't.
He's a non-voting member. There has to be one voting member.
I'm the tick on this moose. Sorry. Yeah, good call.
All right, I hear a motion.
I'll second.
And I hear a motion by Garrett and a second by Dan to approve the minutes from our September 20 meeting. All those in favor? And, so next on our agenda is the facade improvement grant program application review. This is the topic we talked a little bit about last time.
Right, and I have provided all of you with the updated facade grant that I have tracked changes in, just so that you could see.
Is that in there?
Yes, it is.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
packet.
Wonderful.
And so, just to summarize, we talked about making the whole application a little more consistent. If you remember, there were some very strong statements about not having residential, and then
Yes.
having residential, and then not having businesses outside the district. So I feel like that's cleaned up now, so that we're consistent. We decided to remove residential properties from this program. We do not have roofs included in this program, which is, I think, what we discussed last time.
Yep.
Yes, I think we decided that we were not going to have roofs.
No, I thought we were gonna do. roofs.
Opposite,
Opposite.
But roofs that are visible.
Visible.
visible roofs.
So like-
All right, well then I'm glad I double checked that.
Yep.
So I will make that change. The other thing basically that was in here that I wanted to run by the committee that I didn't check with you last time. There are references in here to a facade committee and also the design review committee.
Yeah.
Are those real things?
No.
Okay.
You-
So the question is, if and when we get one of these applications, which would be submitted to me, my thought is that I would bring it to the Economic Development Committee, unless you feel there needs to be a subcommittee
Yeah.
that just reviews these applications. So,
You're here.
okay, so I will make that language consistent in here. The other question is, I guess that's the main question. The other question was about the growth areas, and Kent, what we had talked about was having, expanding this eligible area, which is just kind of confined to the downtown. And we talked about, tracking it more to the, where there's public water or sewer. And Kent and I had a conversation, he indicated that the sewer lines are more expansive than the water lines in Monmouth.
Correct.
So that we may want to consider trying to go by the sewer lines. Yeah, and then kind of create this growth area for Monmouth. So that way we're kind of pushing development towards the areas that have sewer, and would probably be more useful, that businesses would probably be more inclined to develop near anyway. So is this,
So this is the water
this is just the water that
footprint.
Kent
Yep.
was able to track down for us today.
Paul Roop's bringing by the sewer stuff.
But as you can see, it does travel down 202 and then all the way down Main Street to
Meadows.
Clemento's farm.
Yep.
So that's definitely an expansion of what we have here, which is really kind of the traditional downtown in a pretty small area, which is why I think they included residential, because there just wasn't a whole lot to work with in this small area initially.
Well, and also at the time that the TIF was created in 12 or 13, I don't remember it precisely. That was the need, right? I mean, there was a lot of deteriorated properties in the downtown area. A lot of those properties have sprung back to life. And we've got a number of projects still in the pipeline, like the Main Street Sidewalk project, which is waiting for DOT's parallel project in terms of drainage. So I think it makes sense for us to be thinking more broadly in terms of where this program might be most effectively used.
So are there any additional comments or questions?
Actually, I think you got the roof thing right. It says roofs are not eligible projects, and it's crossed off.
Oh, I did get that right. Oh, wow, I was thinking backwards. You're right.
Well, there was some confusion because I think it was. Wasn't okay, and then another section was okay.
Yeah. So, but yes, you're right. We said visible roofs, which is more a spirit of a facade improvement because the point of it is, although it's important to maintain the integrity of a building, we're talking about kind of more superficial.
Yeah, and I maybe more specifically, a more specific phrase would be roofs that are visible from public space.
Right.
Who give me a real world example of someone who might want to use this program downtown right now?
Well, I had suggested, speaking on behalf of the Monmouth Lodge, would be potentially interested in
Yeah.
eventually probably replacing the roof.
Yeah,
You know, if we can get 50%, we could definitely benefit. We've been outside the district for all these years.
yeah,
And we're looking to expand it up to Clementos, which now the lodge would be inside that district. And now with the change of the language, their pitch is very visible when you drive down
Yeah.
the road. So they could be benefactor.
gotcha. And that's the lodge, right? It's like on the left, right up by the post office. Yep. Gotcha. Great idea. Great.
Another one would be, is it 4 pence?
Mhm.
That
Yep.
store, I mean,
Yep.
those are people who own the building
Uh-huh.
and are in that space,
Yeah.
and that there's definitely facade
Absolutely. Okay.
issues and signage and other
Yeah.
things that could help with that streetscape in the front.
Another one would be potentially prospect that Mark has brought to the attention of the select board, which is some redevelopment of the lumberyard out on 202. And if what we are talking about is this footprint,
Mhm.
right, then that would potentially be included.
Gotcha.
So this expansion doesn't violate kind of the square footage or whatever that we're,
So no, it's not specific to the HIP district.
okay,
No, this is Monmouth's facade improvement program, which would fall kind of under economic development.
okay, okay.
Yeah, so TIF's I thought the same thing until I realized there was two too, yeah.
I got it.
So,
And we've also had some precedent for doing, at the discretion of the select board, doing some facade improvements. And this sort of systematizes it rather than relies
No,
on
I
the
think it's
discretion.
fantastic.
Jack traps, for example.
It's one of those programs, like I've seen it, it's like, it's out there. It's like this mythical legend that, it only exists in people's minds. So if the goal is to try to get more people to take advantage of it, it's like, amen.
Yeah.
It seems like it's sitting there otherwise. So, yeah.
and this, and the third leg of this stool is the revolving loan fund,
Yeah.
which unfortunately is tied to, is it KB Cog, who you guys work with? Henry Valley Council.
We have in the past. I'm not sure if that's a continuing relationship.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
so the
Settle
loan
on.
was administered through, is administered through them when people use that program. And since they've been a little defunct, I know they have a new executive director who started in the past month. So I'm hoping that communication and working with them will be a lot more fluid. Because I haven't been able to get responses to them about kind of how this program works, but that's another program. It's either an interest-free or very low interest loan for businesses that are looking to get started. So with these three tools that the town has, now it's time to start publicizing them to people who might be interested in improving their businesses or starting a business. That was kind of the impetus for all of this in the first place, so.
Is that money that's budgeted? Is there money in that account now? And where'd that come from?
In the revolving loan fund.
Yeah.
From the TIF district.
Okay, so that's what does it. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
In fact, I think there's a balance that's been accumulating.
Yeah, this is all economic development from the TIF district funds,
Gotcha. Cool. Excellent.
so.
So that's how the TIF funds get involved in this, is that it spurs business development. That's the TIF.
Yeah.
TIF business.
It's business. So, but we'll take a look. So this is the less inclusive area, Kent, right?
Correct.
And so, we would like to still explore the possibility of tracking this to the sewer lines.
Correct.
Expands up in the north
Right.
Correct. Down
on Main Street.
North Main Street. Is there anything on Blaisdell Hill Road? I want to say it goes partway down Blaisdell Hill. But I might be wrong.
Mostly Pond Road.
It's not believable.
No?
There's no manhole covers or
2 Street?
the streets, potential possibility, yep.
Pond? All right. We'll find out when Paul gets here.
That's right. We want sewer maps. We want sewer maps.
Highland. Highland Terrace,
I
I
would guess.
think that has.
Your text tech.
Not that
Yeah.
there would be any potential business up.
Yeah, it's all residential.
Okay. So that's that. I'll make those changes and we'll incorporate that map and then, Justin didn't think that this needed to be approved by the select board because it's just an it's an application, but, if you want to make them aware, I think it's always nice that they kind of keep this in the front of their mind that, we're doing this type of thing.
Just to have it be a part of the public record, I think would be
Yeah,
important.
I mean, I can make a comment. during-
Yes, public communications or select board.
Tomorrow.
something like that.
Great. Yeah, and if anyone, I don't know if
Yeah,
people
it's
listen to your meetings, but,
Yeah.
just.
Yeah, occasionally.
They do listen to the meetings.
They do.
They don't listen.
They mute candidates. Nice. Good. I won't touch that one. All right.
That's just what you heard. That's just what I heard.
So, and I honestly, Dennis, didn't check with you before and.
That's all right. I
If
did
you
a
had a
little bit of
chance.
research myself
Yeah.
for you. So when I put this, this has been on the first page of the website, Monmouth Business Directory. It's on one of what they call the sidebars. And we only got a couple more to sign up. It's okay. I mean, I don't, it's not like, it's a free service, so I get what people, it might not necessarily catch on. But, it's something I think that we can certainly continue to talk about and have the conversation for. I can give you a direct number. We have 11 now. And so we have 11 businesses here. And then what I've done, so this is I don't know if you can see this. This is just the way the data looks here in sort of a quick view. You can download it into like a spreadsheet. Now this is what I did to show what it would be. So not only is it, these would be the listings. So the listings look like this. And so it's basically you click on the listing And then you can see who, what it is, how to get in touch with them, et cetera. And there's other ways to go about also, like, for example, this one. And I just did a category. I did that sort of department, kind of, I imagine like the yellow pages, you know what I mean? I still remember those. So I was trying to come up with that, bless you, and stuff like that. So that way it's a live link. People, they can click right on there and send you a message or whatever. So, as they come in and, if you talk to people, people, you want to say, hey, gosh, this might be something you can sign up for. It's just a growing thing. And I think it's,
Category I'm under is safety.
uh-huh.
I'm kind of after the fact, so I'm more of a consultant.
Okay, would you? Yes, but I was thinking yellow pages. If I wanted to have an investigation of something, especially an explosion, you know what I want to have better of? Safety. Do you want me to change it to like that? Okay. Busting the rest.
Does everyone know Paul Root?
Hey, Paulie, how are ya?
Paul is very kind enough on short notice to provide us these beautiful
3 sheets. You have their sheet 1, which goes to the other section of town center.
Okay.
That's actually the portion. The 15 steel round.
Did I get that right?
Pardon?
This would be nice for hunting.
There's Dan. All right, so what are we looking at here, Paul?
All right, we'll start over on that one.
Okay.
Actually, you should put that one on the bottom. This one.
Yeah.
Going, it's going south to north.
Okay.
So in town here in the Monmouth Center, you got Pleasant Street, you got Maple Street, Welch. Maple and Pleasant.
So everything is in green here
It's a sewer line.
is a sewer line.
Yeah, but there's red also, which indicates the fourth mill. Because all of Monmouth Center goes to the pump station down here on the Copper
Oh, I like, there you go.
All right. This goes down South Main Street. It stops by the old cider house, about half a way, something like that. Goes this way here.
Tell us where the old cider house is. Palmetto?
Right across from my old house.
Oh, yeah.
On Main Street.
So it doesn't go quite as far as Palmetto.
No,
Okay.
no.
Okay, so in that
Yeah,
case,
there's a
Palmetto's a
little
little bit
hill.
farther.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that all flows to here, Beach Road, we pick up the Beach Road, which comes underneath the railroad to Monmouth Center. We have what we call the North Shore, which comes here, comes cross country, Cool Bay Drive. Blue Road goes up as far as Mockatrell's old house, I think it's
Okay.
now, it was, who was there in there, Darren.
Burnham.
Yeah.
I'm still there.
Yeah. All right, Academy Road goes up as far as the control school. There's some of it shown on the next map there.
Okay.
Picks up behind the academy, out behind here, which we've been having issues with the town and the thing because the contractor took it down, left uncapped lines. All right, so everything flows to here. Pump station. 2 mile fourth main, 280 feet of elevation. Pumps it up. Goes gravity. Back to gravity. Here's the control school.
Okay.
Goes right here is where the fourth main ends. Down by that house with the multiple gables, stuff like that.
So the pump station pushes it
It's up to here.
up to here and then it
Yeah.
flows down.
It's a high
Okay.
pressure thing, and that's why we've had 5 rates down here in Monmouth Center.
Okay.
And that's for a while, we were under DEP notice of violation.
Okay.
All right, then it goes gravity feed down in here to the pump station at North Monmouth, where it also picks up North Monmouth. Wilson Pond, a little bit in there, Wilson Pond Road, it goes up there, goes up here, stops. Doesn't go all the way to the top of the hill, it stops about halfway up. Comes down Main Street, picks up New Street, This is something Charlie Filer put in. Never, it hasn't been used, it hasn't been else, picks up Highland Terrace. Old Lewiston Road goes up as far as the intersection of Wilson Pond Road, goes back down, everything goes to here. It also picks up a little piece of 202. Gravity flows back to here, then there's another long fourth main that takes it over to.
So the red is not a collection.
No, it's a fourth.
It's a push.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
To the pump station over by the old Deer houses where just past Fast Eddie's down where they're making that feed store or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, we do have a few inputs from Winthrop. We have an agreement with Winthrop regarding that because we pick up Heritage, so on like that.
Okay.
Pump station down here, below Hoyt's.
Yeah.
More down there.
Kind of at the
And
bottom of
there's
the hill.
Hank Fast Eddie's is there, that's the
Yeah.
restaurant. Then it's another force main to the top of the hill, and it goes gravity feed down 202. It departs from right 202 to get it underneath the railroad and that to our third pump station. Or no, this is our third, where it goes in to what we call the trunk line, the community trunk line system. Which then, this is what we call trunk line 3, then we become there, that's where it picks up all of Winthrop. And then from there, it's takes a 12-mile trip to Augusta.
Okay.
Through a matter of pump station here, and then a matter of siphons. And stuff like that.
Okay. So this is,
Have you ever seen Blue Man Group? That's all I think. Yeah, it's when they talk about modern plumbing. It's like, oh my God. It's unbelievable.
So it's a complicated system.
Yeah.
I know, you know, maybe another time I come up and thought along way, but
so what we're contemplating, just
Mhm.
to keep you in the loop,
yeah.
is to define our facade improvement program, and this is the
Yeah.
thing where the town, based on an application,
Yeah.
would pay 50% of the cost of improving something that's visible from public space.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, it covers a fairly good portion of
sure,
built up area of the town.
sure. So
We do have a lot of undeveloped land on the system.
right,
Between North Monmouth Village and Monmouth Center.
right, right.
So. We have several challenges facing us. One was when the system was put in, Tech was paying about 55-60% of the 2016. Well, it's early 2016, end of 2015, 2016. They took all the stuff overseas. They're now less than 10% of our cost, and that's why the fees have had to go up.
Mhm.
I know we're hated much in town. But there's nothing we can do about it. We gotta cover costs. There's been several major projects that we pay on through the trunk line.
Sure. Well, it's becoming an aging system, right?
Well, it is,
Right.
and we have that. We're facing, I think maybe you remember back when I had the guys from Augusta here back in the spring. We're facing a major, the system's facing a major cost with replacing what we call trunk line 2. That's the trunk pump station down there by the Coyote tractor place in Manchester,
Mhm.
to the tune of about $9 million.
Mhm.
He got a $2 million grant through Senator Collins's office, but still $7 million short.
Were you successful at lobbying the county?
No, former commissioner who's getting off of office. Adamantly opposed to that.
What?
Yes, yeah, she felt.
She's the one from Augusta.
No.
You better
That
watch
was
it
not
now.
ours from Augusta. I know which one he's referring to.
And when I tried to lobby
Retiring
successfully.
Charlotte Warren.
There you go.
One of those two. So anyway, for the town, like I said, so there's an issues with, amount of flow. Any development on the system, anything we can do to increase the system, we will wholeheartedly support.
Okay.
100%.
Well, and our recommendation to the select board is to define the footprint of this program as anything with infrastructure available to a business.
Yeah,
So not residential, but business related.
right.
And infrastructure is defined as either having sewer or water, because they're not exactly the same.
No, they're not. The water system currently basically does cover some along 202 because they brought in the early 2000s, they brought the water system over from Winthrop because there were problems. They got a grant and paid for that. Primarily the water services, Monmouth Village, my center. I think they're aware there's nothing in North Monmouth. Like that, but the water system did take some of the wealth funds and they were going to do something 202 and
Hydrant.
Dan, you know, put the hydrant in at the intersection of North Main Street and 202. But other than that, there's no. And I know the town or somebody's funded a study for it. I haven't seen the results or any heard.
I've actually, I got a little bit of news on that, but before I give you that, though, I'm looking here at this is the lumberyard right here.
Yes, Knowles, yeah.
And they currently do not have a
Sewer's
sewer.
not as far as that. No, because there's a little crest. If you look at the topography,
Yeah.
the crest of the hill, you can't get gravity flow. Now, we have had several people go in under forced main because that's what these are. Some of these people are.
Individual accounts
Yes.
where they pay for a connection.
Well, what it is when you're going into a force main, there's a check valve there that they can only pump into the system when the pump station itself is not pumping.
Gotcha.
So as you get
So
towards
it's not a
Winthrop,
continuous flow.
no,
So you get a
they have to
storage
have a
tank or
wet,
something.
well, they have what we call a wet well. Then they have a
Right.
small residential pump. And when the pressure is off in the force main, it then injects the system water.
So
into the-
question for you, are they, I know that one of the state law requirements, is if you're within 200 feet of this
Mhm.
system, you have
Yeah.
to connect if you're putting in a
Yeah,
new connection or new
Yeah.
home or new
yeah.
whatever. Were these people required or was this a
No.
voluntary connection?
That was a voluntary connection.
Gotcha.
They were all done in the early 80s, just before the state did a major rebuild on 202,
Okay,
because it was obviously a moratorium on pavement and stuff like that.
right.
When it's down through there, it's very wet. It wouldn't just support a subsurface disposal system. I mean, not to detract from Corey Wilson,
Right.
I've done work for him there, but you take a ride by his annex there. It's all wet. Yeah, you can see it just holds the water.
Right.
And I've done surveys out back there.
He's gonna start selling pools.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Either there's a good waiters,
Pools and wave runners.
but yeah. The Knowles complex. That's a complex one. I suppose you could come in there. We really don't want to. This first section from here is a higher pressure because you're leaving the pump station. By the time you get up here, you may be low enough pressure that you could come in. You'd have to use the engineering. See, these are far enough away from the pressure system. So that you could get into it, but anything where there's a high pressure you don't want because it creates a weakness in the pipe and obviously it's just gonna sooner or later blow out.
Right.
We don't need any more of that.
Okay.
Okay.
What questions do we have for Paul?
Am I able to get a smaller copy of this map?
I can send you a PDF.
That'd be great.
Obviously, this is a full scale. I like that.
He's a details guy.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're drawn to a scale of 1 inch is 500 feet, showing the system map, but yeah, I can send you a PDF and you can zoom in.
yeah, that would be great. Just because we're trying to define, use this to define kind of a growth area for Monmouth.
Mhm.
So that would be really helpful.
Yeah, well, you mentioned that term, and I don't know if you've talked with Steve O'Donnell. The comprehensive plan is committee's kind of hit a hiatus. Not much is happening there. A lot of various reasons, but the growth district per the comprehensive plan basically includes what's the super district.
It does include the sewer district.
For-
Is it
for-
bigger than this?
The comprehensive plan.
I mean,
Not
yeah,
much.
the growth, yeah. That would be nice to kind of sync it up with a comp plan too. I mean, that would make sense as opposed to having,
There seems to be
Several,
the case.
yeah.
A lot of comp plans.
Former consultant from KV Cog last spring had his own ideas and he had proposed a growth area that was much reduced. Because the 1992, I think there was a 2000 something comprehensive plan basically covered the sewer district. This individual recommended something less. And I said, no. You're not allowing any area for growth or anything like that. Like I mentioned to you, Ken, the sanitary district's working on a GIS system. So for it, I think we did an analysis. I think there's over 10,000 acres undeveloped potential on the sewer system alone. That's substantial because I factor that in because we're in a revenue crunch. We really need to raise our rates, but we haven't. We had Maine Rural Water do a rate study for us. They work with both the water side and the sewer side, the sanitary side. Now, one of the options available, and I know this would go over, like they say, the proverbial fire church, is to assess undeveloped properties a fee for availability of sewer. We can't assess the full amount where we're at, but we can assess by, I think it's by statute. Because the sanitary district's formed under Title 38 as a quasi-municipal district. We're not a separate district. We're not a charter district. We're a quasi-municipal under Title 38. Title 38 is all your environmental law. There is a provision in there where we can go back and recapture from undeveloped properties the original bond issues and costs and so on. So I don't know what it works out per front foot, but there's something there.
Yeah,
But
that doesn't sound very popular.
well, if you're sitting there, well, I mean, take the Piper's undeveloped piece of property down here. He's got all that frontage. He has about 1,000 feet of frontage. I know he's asking a substantial sum. You know, somewhere's the neighbor, at least what I heard, 400,000, 500,000. But his benefit, his is one of the most prime pieces of real estate that's all down the mountain.
Yeah.
Because it's no wetlands and it all flows to the gravity system. You don't
Right.
need to have pump stations.
Right.
So I'm sure part of his asking price comes from the fact that he's on here.
He's enjoying the benefit
Yeah.
of being
So,
adjacent to the,
So,
I get the principle,
yeah.
but then the rubber hits the road.
Well, yeah. So, and the other thing, if I may, to indulge your patience, is the other thing is between the Monmouth system and the trunk line group, without that intercommunity trunk line, it'd be over 1 billion gallons a year of effluent going into the lake systems. That's between Monmouth, Winthrop, and Manchester. It's over 1 billion gallons when you put it in there. Monmouth's flow is down, but we amounts to about 36 million in a year, roughly now.
Mhm.
It would be going right indirectly through the water system.
Mhm.
So we've had these discussions. Is one of the direct beneficiaries of the sanitary system, even though they don't realize it, are the people who live on the lakes.
Mhm.
Because you see, this whole trunk line system came about as part of a multi-pronged approach in the early 1970s with the
Yeah.
creation of the Copsey Watershed District.
Yeah, and the Clean Water Act.
Clean water.
Yep.
And, you know, so there's an indirect, intangible benefit to the people who live on the lake, but they don't pay anything.
No.
So your burden. Well, not really, no.
I begged to differ.
Well, maybe in the cost of their value of the property,
Yeah.
Right.
but there's no direct support or indirect support to the sewer because the town is not. So that's where you and I, would have a difference in opinion.
Yeah.
Is yes, they pay to the town the increase in value of their property, but the increase in value of the property is coming partly indirectly from here, but we don't receive any offsets from the town.
So Paul, that lumberyard property, if they were to potentially put in a business there where there may be hundreds of people using restroom facilities on a daily basis, would you encourage them to put in their own private system?
No, we probably talk to. We
Try to do something to get it to hook into the line.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, exactly. If there was some kind of, facility that, like you say, has
And Paul,
quite a bit of effort.
over the last 5 years, maybe even the last 3 years, have you seen additional hookups? Have you had an
We've
increase? in
had
count?
some, we have had some, but more importantly, we've lost
Okay,
because people are removing these old houses, these old buildings.
okay.
So I think at this point here, with a few that we have gained back, we have basically it's broken even. But for a while there, we would have a net decrease.
So, unrelated subject, the house on Main Street, right by the trailer park that went in, that was in violation. What was the end result of that? Is that
It's
just
still
gonna
pending with the sanitary district. All right.
pending, and who were
We're
they?
talking to attorneys. To enforce that.
So inevitably, will it be the town that's on the hook for?
That I can't answer you. All right, the sanitary district is exploring through a different legal things. First of all, do we have the legal standing to enforce that?
And where's this, a house on Main Street?
942 Main
It's a
Street.
new white place just on the town side of the trailer park.
Oh, okay.
And they kind of set it in a location where it would be 200 feet away, but then the
But-
system, the septic system
Well, so it's
falls
there.
within the 200-foot zone.
So by law, they're required to.
And I guess the plumbing inspector didn't realize that the system was part of the structure, so he approved it, but it should not have been approved.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Which in the end, the town, I mean, he worked for the town and he approved it, so I don't know how the town could get away from the responsibility on that.
Heard.
We're trying to work. it out.
Yeah. Ken and I had a few conversations.
It's expensive if we end up being
So,
disagreeable in court.
but it doesn't sit well with many people in town. It doesn't sit well with the members.
Well, that kind
Of course.
it sets a precedent for the next
Well,
one
yeah.
Well,
to say,
yeah.
well, they got away with it, so.
Oh, God.
We're figuring it out.
Good.
Yeah, so we're figuring it out.
So anyway, that's what
We
you
want to,
have.
we want to see that the sanitary district is successful and appropriately compensated.
Well, and it's not only that, because one other thing that we did is we had a economic survey done with that rate study, and we needed that to apply for grants. The majority of the users of the sanitary district are below or meet the low income status for the state of Maine. So the people who are bearing the burden in the town of Monmouth for the sanitary district are those least able to afford.
Right. It's aggressive.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And this is why we have held off. But foster care is something. I have been able to convince that the Trump community, how they figure the budgets and stuff like that to get a reduction there, but in our flows, from our budgeted flow this year, right now, we are with 75% of the year complete. We are at 56% of our budgeted flow. So we'll get a reasonably good credit back, which helps our bottom line. So we've been able to do that, so.
All right.
All right, I won't keep you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
God bless you and all that.
And anytime you want to talk about it.
Actually, I'm gonna walk out with him for just a second.
Okay.
So talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah. So anyway,
With the passage of the property tax freeze for 65 and older. I feel like, I mean, this is my opinion. This tip stuff could get more important to satisfy certain parts of the budget before cuts potentially need to occur. I'm concerned about the freeze over time without increasing rates. Tax rates. So I think I'm just saying, This TIF district stuff is really important. Because it could offset a lot of potential cuts. If we have to cut budgets.
Isn't the state gonna reimburse the towns for the revenue lost initially? I don't know how long that's gonna go on.
Yeah.
They're probably gonna drop the ball in a year.
Right, exactly, just dangle you out for a little bit, but that's what I understand, and I think there's a big push to clarify some of those programs, because it was, as my dad would say, it was like a fart and a whistle. It just kind of happened, and it was like, whoa, what happened? You know what I mean? And so you had to implement these things, so I agree. I think it'd be interesting. Yeah, exactly, see how it all works out, you know?
No, that's a good point to pay attention to.
But from what I gather with this sewer. Larger area. They're encouraging people to connect to it. So why, I guess, potentially why wouldn't we recommend? And it would match other.
Right.
Monmouth maps.
Right, and and I'm sure Joe has the outline of that, even though the comp plan is stalled a little bit. But yeah, it would make a lot of sense to have all the maps consistent in the town. Or sometimes what plans will do, not that we wouldn't have a map, is that, this application would say growth district as defined by the most recent comprehensive plan. So then you don't have to worry about it syncing up every time. It's just, it just refers to the comp plan as what the growth district is. So either way, but we'll make sure that they match.
You taking those maps back?
They're on maps now.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, that's why I was asking for the smaller ones. I thought.
Well, it'd still be good to get a digital.
Yeah.
I mean, as fun as those look, yeah, exactly, like your portfolio, like you're in
Yeah, yeah.
art school.
Hey, borrow your glasses.
Yeah.
Take a look.
Yeah, that's still hard to see, so. Okay, so I think we were talking about the business director. We have 11, we're in double digits
Mhm.
and.
We're up 30%.
Amen. Amen. Yeah. Seems like, yeah, I mean, it seems like it's, it's just getting people to sign up and say, hey, listen, it's okay. We're not gonna steal your, information.
What did we decide on?
We're not that
the list that Reagan had, whether we could input that without notifying those businesses?
I think we were waiting for the push, which is happening. So it's a matter of whether we'd like to take it upon ourselves to upload those. And so just from my perspective, I'm planning, maybe even after we've finalized this, to do hopefully a mailing, but maybe an email. I would prefer mailing to the businesses that I've identified in town. We have this new tool. Don't forget to sign up for the business directory, just kind of things like that, and keep that communication going. Maybe a mailer twice a year, something like that. So that might be an opportunity for businesses to kind of catch on as well. But that's not to say we couldn't upload what we have and say, hey, check out your listing on the business directory. Let us know if we have any corrections, and we're gonna ask you to update those once a year. So that's another approach as well.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of advertising it. People know. I know you did it once already, but
Yeah, just keep trumpeting the thing. It's not, it's one of those things that it's gonna take some time, but I think once people start to understand a little bit more, and then what we have is we have this information captured, and then that way, in this format, even when it comes out as a spreadsheet, that gives you every single piece of info, the emails right there. You can begin an email list. You know what I mean, and stuff like that. I don't know if Monmouth has email alerts or signups. If you can go and sign up for emails from the town or something like that, if they're like email info blasts, but those sorts of things I think are very valuable. But either way, we have data for these places, and I think there should be at least, as we develop this information, those businesses can be directly emailed. And that can be a benefit of it. We could say, hey, listen, sign up. You'll get information about TIF programs, facade programs, things like that. We know we're sending it out to everyone, but it's nice to maybe get a specific personal email, something like that. So, you know, it's going to grow, and I'm excited to be a part of it anyway.
Well, that's actually, that would be good, because I know that there have been programs from Fame and other programs that I would love to blast out to people that we just don't have the information to do that yet. I mean, I have some email addresses, but half of them aren't good. And so it would require a mailer, which is obviously much more expensive and time consuming. So that might be another incentive, I think. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just incentivizing it. Just saying, hey, you know, I know that we're talking about different, chambers of commerce, but we don't have to wait for one of the chambers of commerce to have a business after, have donuts and coffee in here, and have some of these people meet each other and may not know each other, and say, when you are staying at the island, you can come and see our winery, and you know what I mean? Stuff like
They
that.
have donut get-togethers.
Buddy, absolutely, man. Little donut social. Shoot. Sweet
Gotta get in
rain.
on those munchkins.
That's it. Oh, I know. Yeah, no, that's right. Munchies.
Wonderful. Okay, so we'll keep working on that, and I may start even feeding some businesses into these directories and people check them out and see
Yeah.
what they think.
No, even if you just did like 10 of them, 5 to 10 by the next meeting, and then we could see it grow 100%.
Yeah, it'd be amazing. It's just nice to have it. I'd be out there. I also posted it on on Facebook for a Monmouth, Maine support page
Oh,
and stuff
yeah.
like that. So I can do another one of those. I know that Monmouth Moms and Dads, very popular Facebook page. Maybe it could go out that way.
Right.
Monmouth M's and D's.
Yeah,
M's and D's.
M's and D's.
perfect.
All right, other business.
So the other business
Mhm.
was, we've kind of alluded to this during the meeting, and Mark, kind of turned the city on to this, but, there has been conversation about Knowles Lumber getting purchased, by the main cabin masters. And, people may know that they do kind of have their, well, they have their headquarters for kind of tourism, their touristy headquarters in Manchester, which has been very popular. And so
Woodshed.
the woodshed, yes, yes. So I did connect with their operations manager and asking about what cabin masters might be using Knowles Lumber for. And it's really, they're looking for offices, kind of really just having kind of a business headquarters, supplies, all of their equipment,
Sort
things
of
like
like
that.
a PX, like a depot where all
Yep.
their stuff can,
Yep.
no matter where they all go.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Depot, headquarters, they were looking at the Manchester Y, which would have been really convenient, but that price tag, scared them off considerably, which is, it's at $2 million for that facility, so. I don't,
Yeah,
yeah, that Y closed.
yeah.
So, so this was another option for them. And so I checked in with them actually today, and they said that they are still planning to go forward at this point. So it seems like it's happening, but it's happening very slowly.
Good.
And we, as the town, have kind of offered our support, let them know that we're very interested in having that space
Occupied.
occupied so quickly, especially, and,
Amen.
what can we do to help, basically.
Mm.
So that's the general update. I think there's also, as we're working with these tools, the TIF district, the facade improvement program, and as we're expanding our growth district, It's obviously falls, the conversation or the argument can be made that these are the reasons that we're doing these types of incentive programs, so that when businesses are approaching Monmouth and saying, what can you offer us? We have kind of a menu of items that can help a business that's worthwhile locate to Monmouth, and incentivize them in that way. At this point, it doesn't sound like they necessarily have plans to move the woodshed to Monmouth, but I would like to open that conversation. I think Kent and I have talked about that today, and kind of, again, what can the town offer to kind of bring everything to Monmouth, so that this would be actually the headquarters of the Maine Cabin
Yeah,
Masters.
that would be, it certainly would help that Manchester traffic problem, wouldn't it?
I know, well, we're not worried about traffic problems out here.
No, you got the nice D cell, that driveway's long enough, you can just pull right off.
Well, and I heard they were having a lot of issues with neighbors with noise.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, and I think
Crowds.
it's the Longfellows, if I'm not mistaken, were one of the
Right next to.
one of the families or one of the businesses that were having problems, and certainly you don't,
Yeah,
that's a tough stuff.
yeah, and I think you're right, they don't wanna. I think they wanna ghost quit.
Yeah,
Manchester.
Yeah,
Try to
yeah,
ghost quit Manchester, but that space is such a bizarre, it's such a sprawling, God, the things they must be able to do in there and. Yeah,
well, and I'm obviously not very familiar with the space, I'm just looking at what my text message said, but
Yeah.
basically, I don't know if people watch the show or are familiar with the show, but basically Chase Morrill is the one who's kind of making the business decisions.
Someone that lives in one.
no, he lives in Wayne.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he has property on it.
Yeah,
And so they said that they're moving forward, but pretty slowly involving the lawyers. He's definitely interested in meeting with you and the Monmouth board at some point as he thinks the location needs some work, and trying to
good contractor.
increase the value of that, right?
Yeah.
Increase the value of that. I did pull the tax map, so that property is actually valued. It's very weird.
Is it just one property?
It is one
Okay.
property. It's 10 acres. However, the way that it's divided up is that there is the land, which is 10 acres and appraised at $49,300. And then there are all of the buildings and infrastructure on the buildings, and that is appraised at $566,000. So the whole, and apparently the buildings and other infrastructure are leased to the business. I was talking to the assessor about this today. It's very odd, but it's just kind of one on top of the other, and the land is 10 acres at 49,000, and then all of the buildings and other infrastructure, the 566,000. So it's about $600,000, if anyone doesn't care about details, that it's appraised and that it's valued at. If people are, again, if we are just thinking about the tools that we have for TIF districts, we need to remember that the reimbursement for new taxes is based on everything over the value of the property when it's purchased. So, right now this value is $600,000. So any new value that's added to the property is where the tax reimbursement would come from.
Mhm.
It wouldn't start at zero.
Right.
So that's just something to keep in mind. They have to add value to the property in order to
Have
get the
exemptions.
get a reimbursement for the new taxes. So,
That's that credit enhancement program.
yeah.
It sounds like the land would be significantly undervalued. have
Seems
that
like
much
to me.
road frontage on Route 202 and only have a value of $49,000. That's pretty low.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
5,000 an acre.
and it goes back there too, right? If that's 10 acres, it must go back there pretty far.
Yeah, it's 5,000 an acre. And I would, I mean, it could be, maybe the buildings have been overvalued in compensation for the land
Because
being
the buildings-
undervalued, so that the
buildings
net
aren't
net
anything
is.
To brag about.
Yeah, right, right.
Rustic.
Yeah. I like
There's
that.
some there
Perfect
that
for
are-
cabin. Rustic. Yeah, that's right. Rustic cabin. That's right. You kidding me? They can turn those into a 12-bedroom.
I've got
I know.
oh, 50
Yeah, long
acres
haul.
on Prophecy Road that's valued at like 43,000.
Right.
And I gotta wade across the brook to get to the majority. So that out there
Yeah,
is worth 5 times what my piece of property would be
yeah, I
worth,
bet.
I would
if
imagine
not
so.
more.
I would imagine so. And
Wow.
yeah, and knowing that the frontage is almost unreplicable. Like, they've
Yeah,
got some grandfather rights
Oh,
for this
yeah.
giant parking lot frontage that
Landing
DOT would
yeah.
never, ever allow
right.
again,
Weed.
right? So,
I know the piece of property where Corey Wilson has his trailers currently,
mhm,
the Wilson property there, that property was listed for over 200.
mhm.
And it's sold. I don't know what the selling price was, but it was listed over 200.
Season.
And that's not much of a piece of property compared to the lumberyard property.
Right.
Yeah, no kidding.
Right. So, I don't know. I mean, I think the total value is probably realistic. But the mix might be a little whacked off.
I tried walking around that lumberyard property, but I got bored.
You got bored?
No. 7:03.
So we'll be continuing that conversation. Obviously this, I don't know if this is going to happen by the end of the year or not, but, I'll keep asking for updates
That's the kind
and,
of
but,
time frame you're thinking.
well, I mean, I don't know how long it takes to purchase a piece of property like that,
Right,
but,
right.
I mean,
Yeah, I'm sure it's gonna be a couple months, right? I mean, just to get all the things going.
so I'll keep checking in and inviting them to meet with the town and, just kind of brainstorm and share plans and be open, we're open to new development.
Doug, just in time.
Yeah.
We need someone to make a motion for adjournment.
Yes. Will you adjourn us? That's for me either, Doug, me either, don't worry.
I look at that prospect as something with a lot of potential. And something that we should nurture as a town. I mean, I look at that particular location as a perfect place for a business that in other locations might be a problem for its neighbors, and that location, it's got no neighbors, it's got wetlands around the 10-acre parcel. It's not really gonna cause disturbance in that neighborhood if someone were to expand substantially. And it's on the most traveled road in Monmouth. And if it generated a little bit more traffic on that road, that wouldn't be a big deal.
Yeah.
Wouldn't inconvenience anybody.
No, it's not really a traffic hazard. You've got great visibility there and.
Yep. The only, I mean, maybe, depending on the extent of their expansion, maybe there would be a need for more police protection involved. But that kind of development doesn't involve more kids going to school, Whole lot of, you know, I mean, their utilities right there, the water main is right there. The sewer main is right there. So this is smack dab right in front of our infrastructure. Not a whole lot of additional investment necessary from the town, other than to be inviting and to say, oh, okay, this is the kind of stuff that would be very interesting to see happen in Monmouth. Yeah. Especially with a brand that is a main brand, right? A local brand that's nationally recognized.
Well, and I was gonna say, when I said I'm up there following, I think a lot of their clientele or following, more tourists. You know,
Yeah.
and very, you know, versus, you know, like I was concerned about TJ's, you know,
Mhm.
I think TJ's customers will still be loyal to TJ's.
Mhm.
Yeah.
This will bring in a
exactly.
different,
Different
Oh,
clientele.
without a doubt, yeah.
it might benefit the,
Well, certainly the theater, the
yeah.
Compton Hall would absolutely benefit from it. Compton Hall is, from what, I mean, we talk daily, but Compton Hall is more concerned about what's going in the bank. Like, we'll go into the bank, so
Is there
that's
any interest in that
something,
property?
I have no idea, I have no idea.
They need to cut down that tree in that front of that bank.
No
Holy
kidding.
cow, that thing dead.
Oh,
Is it-
boy, yeah, it's bad news bears, because it's gonna, it just keeps, stuff just keeps falling down on it, so.
Is it an insurance claim ready to happen?
Who owns that place? Do we know?
Bangor Savings.
Do they really?
No.
It's
no,
a dude,
no,
isn't
it's- No, I've talked to him a couple of times. And he's been looking for other banks. He was looking for kind of like an outpatient PT type place. But I should give him another call, because I don't know that this is the most burning piece of his portfolio. So it's.
Right, and so it's probably out of sight, out of mind.
It's probably nice to kind of remind him.
Well, I mean, you know, it would, that's right, right across Cumston cannabis. No.
Don't even.
It's a good story, don't worry. But no, it is, I mean, it is.
Can I just say for the record,
Yes.
after that comment, that Monmouth continues to have a moratorium.
But I do think that it is a very prime spot. Now, you know, when you think about downtown places to develop, they're not a lot. And currently, I think the Monmouth Museum is in probably the finest, you know, that storefront there, the finest one. So even 4 pence, I mean, at one point, you know, when, you know, before it was Curly's and then it was Cochran's, remember the theater at Mama tried to open that restaurant there. I mean, there's a stream running through the basement of that place, you know, so the stock that exists is so limited. So when you look at something like the bank and it's like, why has that place been so empty for so long? You know, it's prime real estate for having something that would tie in with the theater. And it just makes you sort of wonder about, you know, what's going on. So, but that would be one that I think I'd be interested in too. But yeah, absolutely. Those guys at the, down that way and coming out, absolutely.
Well, I mean, the number one priority that folks have talked about in terms of economic development is an additional restaurant in town.
Mhm.
And although that would probably not be, you know, 202 would probably not be our first choice in terms of
Right,
convenient
location, yeah, absolutely.
If we've got someone who might be interested in offering a restaurant there at some point in the future, perhaps.
Oh, like a baby brewery, like Kushnock, you
Well,
know,
that's what I was thinking. It would be nice to
smaller
have,
Kushnock.
yeah.
Right.
or get the Grateful Grain somehow. I know they like that
Pizza,
spot they
you know.
have. But you're right. It could be, you know, it would be nice. It's a really interesting space because you have the offices and then you have the little, the vault, and then you have that area over there that's sort of naturally a bar area, but it would be a great little spot. But I agree with you, some sort of like, you know, like an offshoot of something that exists already. And you think, God, you could make pizzas in there, serve good pizza and beer, and you'd be full all the time. You know, I mean, it's just right downtown. It's just right downtown.
Well, like, brewery in South Monmouth.
Grateful Grain.
Grateful Grain is, you know, or was at one point interested in moving their operation either downtown
Yeah.
or somewhere's 202 corridor. I don't know for what reason, higher visibility, more space to, you know.
But I think they like where they are. You know, it seems
Yeah.
like they're.
They're limited on their production.
Yeah.
They're
And I think
maxed
that's,
out.
they're where they are, they're where they can need to be without taking the next step, which is.
Increase volume.
Yeah.
of the
It's a septic,
building
right? I
and then-
don't think there's anything down there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they do food trucks. Well, that's part of the whole thing with getting the alcohol, licensure process at Compton Hall is that, we could have food trucks there. You could do outdoor beer garden stuff there. There's a lot of dynamic sort of things that I think, we're just starting to kind of get into these conversations about how that, but it's a huge aspect for Compton Hall to have that so that it could be an anchor for downtown if there were food trucks, because it's this margarita truck, which I'm dying to get at Compton, but the idea that you could have that in there as a place, a more permanent spot, obviously is ideal, but there's always something that I think we can figure out, but that bank spot, very good spot. Good spot there.
All right, any other business? Okay, are we close to the end of our time? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
I've got a motion and a second.
Second.
All right, all those in favor? Put your hand down.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry about it.
Harold Jones,
Validates.
call me up.
Robert's rules of order, it being a mockery of. Made a mockery of.
Was it?
Well, thank you, guys.
North Monmouth, rock and roll.
Update on the North Monmouth.
That's,
Oh,
more.
yeah, so they're working on it.
Yeah.
We don't have any final reports. There's a preliminary report, engineering report coming. And it hasn't been finished yet. When it is, I will bring it to the committee.
Does this sewer map ever?
There's a bluegrass concert at